This one paragraph from an ancient emperor's personal diary is the secret to the good life. Welcome back to the Everyday Stoic. Today, I'm sharing with you what I consider to be the best passage from the diary of Marcus Aurelius. And I'll be reading it from the Martin Hammond translation of the Meditations. Now, if you stick around for the end, you'll hear what is considered the most popular translation of the book, and I'll be reading the same passage from this book. When Marcus Aurelius was away for war, or he was leading campaigns, he was ruling Rome, and he was struggling with the death of multiple of his children. He had a very difficult life and had a lot of weight on his shoulders. He would write down personal advice for himself and wisdom he had gained from others and from the world around him. He would write down wisdom from Socrates and Epictetus and Junius Rusticus and his father and his grandfather and his mother and his tutors. He'd write down all this wisdom and he wrote it down in a personal diary. And this diary was never meant to be shared with anyone. After his death, this book came to light, and now, over 1,000 years later, we have multiple translations of this book and we can read it. And I think it's a fascinating look into one of history's greatest minds. And you really get an understanding of how he lived and how he held himself and how he became such a great character. So this is what I consider to be the best passage, and it is the guide to the good life. So I hope you enjoy it. And what I'll do is I'll read the Penguin Classic translation, and I'll go in depth on the understanding of certain words, like what is good life, what is reason, what is like definition of character, and then I'll also give a bit more depth to the passage. So this is a reading from the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. If you set yourself to your present task along the path of true reason, with all determination, vigour and goodwill, if you admit no distraction, but keep your own divinity pure and standing strong, as if you had to surrender it right now, if you grapple this to you, expecting nothing, shirking nothing, but self-content with each present action, taken in accordance with nature, and a heroic truthfulness in all that you say and mean, then you will lead a good life, and nobody is able to stop you. So I think it stands on its own as a very powerful guide to the good life. But I'd like to go in depth on a few words to give you a better understanding, such as what is nature, because Marcus Aurelius' definition of nature is much different to the definition of nature we have today. So this will just give you an understanding of what the passage means, and hopefully makes you understand how great the passage is and gives you the same enthusiasm that I have for this one passage. Okay. So one thing I'd like to say is, right from the start, this paragraph reminds me of the If poem by Rudyard Kipling, which is actually my favourite poem, and I've read it for many years as a guide to be a good person. So that's something I thought was interesting. Marcus Aurelius likes to really impress on you the importance of being present and attending to the present task. So when he says, you set yourself to your present task, he likes the idea of giving all your energy and vigour to the present task and along the path of true reason. And now if you go to book 4, paragraph 13, which is here. Do you possess reason? I do. Why not use it then? With reason doing its job, what else do you want? So reason is sort of a gift that we have. We've been given this gift in life to have reason, and if you have the gift of reason, which everyone has, then why don't we use it? And as he says, what else do you want? If you use reason in your decision making, then what else can you want? With all determination, vigour and goodwill, if you admit no distraction. So this, in present day, if you're doing your homework, it's very important to do your homework, and you give it all your attention, you remove all your distractions. If you're distracted by your phone, if you're distracted by the TV, the radio, then remove all distractions. It's good advice for people trying to be productive, actually. But keep your own divinity pure and standing strong. Marcus Aurelius has this thing about standing strong, where you do it off of your own free will. There's a quote in this book that says, "Stood straight, not held straight." And there's another quote about standing against the waves. And it's the point of holding yourself upright and being the good version of you because you can and you will. As if you had to surrender it right now. If you grapple this to you, expecting nothing, shirking nothing. To shirk nothing is to be attentive, it's to be scrupulous, it's not to miss a detail, it's to pay full attention to the task you're doing and not missing any of the little details. It's self-content with each present action taken in accordance with nature. So to be self-content with your actions is to be content with the actions of themselves. So if there's no reward, no gain, you're self-content in taking the action, and you will be content in taking the action regardless of the outcome. So this is the important part. Taken in accordance with nature and a heroic truthfulness. So Marcus Aurelius talks about nature a lot and doing things in accordance with nature. So nature is what some people would consider God. It's our nature is the same as the nature of the universe. Nature is just the way things work and the way things happen. And you could describe nature as fate. And the Stoics believed in, there's a famous saying that you may have heard, amor fati, which is Latin for the love of one's fate. Sorry, I was mixing up with memento mori. So amor fati, the love of one's fate. And to live in accordance with nature is to accept your fate. It's to love your fate that comes your way because it will come your way regardless. So you must embrace it with open arms and take it in your stride, the good and the bad. So nature is the happenings of the universe, and which involves us, it involves everyone. We're all part of the same nature. So doing something good for yourself should be doing something good for nature. If you do what is good for the bee is good for the hive. If it's not good for the hive, then it's a selfless act, and it's not in accordance with nature. And then lastly, a heroic truthfulness. I just like the imagery on that, the heroic truthfulness. Like, it's not just truthfulness, it's standing up and giving your truth. I think that's quite a powerful statement, which is different to the other translation. And in all that you say and mean, then you will lead a good life. That's where the idea for this video came from. You will lead a good life. This thing that they call the good life, you can call it happiness, you can call it, it's living in society and being a good member of society, having these virtues to guide you through life, which I think leads to happiness. And the last part is, nobody is able to stop you. This reminds me of a passage from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. So Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote one of the most popular books ever written, which is Man's Search for Meaning. And in that book is another one of my favourite quotes, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, so I'll have to read it off my phone. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So I think Marcus Aurelius and Viktor Frankl are alluding to the same point of no matter what happens in life, you still have the power to choose. Viktor Frankl believes you can choose your own way, and Marcus Aurelius thinks that you can live the good life by following this paragraph. So now I'm just going to read the Gregory Hayes translation, which is considered the most popular translation, and I'm always recommended this translation, but I actually prefer the Penguin Classic. But if you do the job in a principled way, with diligence, energy and patience, if you keep yourself free of distractions and keep the spirit inside you undamaged, as if you might have to give it back at any moment, if you can embrace this without fear or expectation, can find fulfillment in what you are doing right now as nature intended, and in superhuman truthfulness, every word, every utterance, then your life will be happy, and no one can prevent that. So that is the Gregory Hayes translation. It's roughly the same. It gives me a different meaning. I do like both translations, and I think added together, you get a better understanding of the translation. So I hope you found as much wisdom and guidance in that one paragraph. I do recommend reading this book. It's one of my favourite books. I'm just going to read the If poem. I think it's such a powerful poem and I believe you guys will like it. So here is the If poem by Rudyard Kipling, who is the guy that wrote the Jungle Book. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So that is my favourite poem, and it makes me think of the Emperor actually when I read that. I apologise for reading off my phone and from the books today. I'm reading passages that I haven't got the best memory when trying to remember passages, but I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you would like to support the channel, please consider subscribing, becoming a member, or just watch more videos, join in on the discussion. Head over to my Instagram, The Everyday Stoic, where you can join the discussion, ask questions on my regular Q&As, see the quotes I post daily affirmations that I write, and some videos related to Stoicism, and you can head over to the website, www.theeverydaystoic.com. All that is a great help if you want to keep seeing content like this, and thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and hopefully you use this paragraph as guidance for your day. Thank you.